Alright, now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you guys how to wire one of these 6-inch recessed lights. You can see we got the wires all coming into the firebox up there through the Romex. Remember that Romex we put in the can I showed you? The wires are both going through the Romex and then they come into the can, and then you let about 8 inches or so stick out of the can so that you can work on them. Don't cut them too short. Alright, don't have 3 feet of wire coming out either. You need about 6 to 8 inches of wire to work with. So there you see 2 blacks, 2 whites, 2 grounds. Alright, that's coming from 2 strands of 14-2 wire. Lighting's always on 14-2. Now what Chris is going to do is he's going to hook this up for us to the actual connectors that are in the can. Now if you look over to the left side there, you're going to see these little funky connectors there Chris has in his hand there. They're called stab lock connectors, and there's one for the black and the white and the ground. The ground is the green, and then you got the white and the black. So he's going to be hooking up our blacks, our whites, and our grounds coming from our 14-2 wire into those can stab locks. So the first thing he's going to do is he's going to strip back his whites and his blacks, exposing about a 1/2 inch of copper using his wire strippers. Alright, see how he's going a 1/2 inch from the end, pinches it in the jaw, pulls it through the 14-2 hole in the wire strippers, and pulls off the casing. 1/2 inch, pull off the casing. 1/2 inch, pull off the casing. Alright, now there's all of the ends that he's going to need to stab lock into the connectors. Now he's going to grab the black stab lock connector first, and what he's going to do is he's going to take the 2 black wires that he just stripped and he's going to press them into the holes in the stab lock connector. Push them in. That's it. Now the blacks are connected and that can be pushed back up into the can. The blacks are done now. Take the whites to the white stab lock connector, push them in, and now the whites are connected. Push them back into the firebox. The last ones you're going to do are the grounds to the ground stab lock connector. Push them in, and now they're done. Push them back into the firebox. Now that can is wired 100%. Now the last thing that you'll do is these fireboxes have what's called a fire door that comes with them. All you do is just push the fire door up until you hear it click, and you're done. And that's it. And that's the same thing Chris did over in these cans the whole way around the kitchen. That same exact wiring method. Now these cans can be bought at Home Depot, and we told you these are commercial electric cans. They come with those nifty stab lock connectors inside. You don't need old-fashioned nut caps. You just push them into those stab lock connectors and you're finished. And that's the way that you wire your recessed lights. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
Now that was the last light in a circuit that he did. He saved that one for last. Now he's going to put a bulb in there, and then he's going to throw the switch, and he's going to make sure that that light fires up. And there she blows. All the lights now that he just put in are all fired up, all 5 of them. So that's it for wiring recessed cans. Alright, now we've got a ton of light in this kitchen. And you can see how we've got 5 6-inch cans up there, and we've got 3 3-inch cans in this kitchen. Alright, the 3 3-inch cans are right over top of what's going to be our sink countertop, and the 5 6-inch cans are kind of like the house lights for the kitchen. They're the main kitchen lights. Alright, and then we got 2 more 3-inch cans over here that are going to shine down on top of our microwave hutch, which is a floor-to-ceiling hutch, and our refrigerator. And that's the complete lighting layout for this particular kitchen. Yours is probably going to be different, and I'm sure it will be, but we've got 5 6-inch cans and a total of 5 3-inch cans for our project.
Once your wiring is done and you made your connections in your box, just one thing we're going to show you how to staple up your wires. I want to bring to your attention also, when we put this box on the end, we actually put a scrap of dead wood here to keep the box out of the corner, because when you do corner bead and drywall, you want it a little bit away from the corner. We could have put 1 piece, 2 pieces of dead wood. That would have looked a little too far over, but just to make it note, you never really want to put your box right against your end stud there.
Right.
When you take these wires and you want to wire them down, you want lots of flow. you're supposed to nail within 8 inches of the box and using one of these staples, electrical Romex staples. I'm just going to put 2 within 8 inches of the box. And you don't sink them. You want to be able to move your wires when the wires are stapled.
You don't want to pinch them.
Yep, you don't want to pinch them. So that's basically, that one's done now.
Now your electrical inspector, if you're getting your electric inspector, your building inspector, is going to look for these staples 6 inches or so from the box. If you don't have your boxes with staples near them with your wire secured, your electric is going to get failed. So make sure that you're using staples. Now,
halfway down this wall, I'm going to go ahead and put another set of staples because I want my wires to be nice and neat. So that, you know, that when we go to hang drywall, we don't have one wire hanging outside the wall and pinch it. So you just continue the same thing on down, keeping them dead center in the middle of your studs. I'll put one loose staple here. This is just to keep the wires centered in the center of the stud. I'm also going to put one wire down low because you don't want your wire to be way over here when you're nailing baseboard up and whatnot.
yeah,
Like I say, you want them dead center on your stud.
they're keeping the wires out of harm's way, guys. That's what you're doing when you're putting wire
Like
staples
I say,
on.
just loosely.
All right.
Around your outlet boxes here, it's not going to hurt for you to have. I can staple this here. I can leave an extra loop of wire and staple it into the loop, so I have a little bit of feed wire for future. Either way, and then you want to staple, like I said, within 6-8 inches of the box, loosely, in the center of the stud. And that should work.
All right, so your outlets and your switches 6 inches from the box.
Yeah. And that's the last thing that you have to do before you call your electrical inspector, if you're having it electrically inspected. When I made my electrical connections, once again I pre-twisted my wires. I got my white and my black in there, 6 inches out the box. A good way to fold your wires is right at the box, fold them back again. You want these wires tucked back in the wall for drywall purposes, for when you're finishing your mud. I still owe these ground wires right here a greenie, which I think I have one on here. Yes, I do. Once again, it's one device, so I'll have one ground sticking out. And these green nut caps are really nice with the hole in the back of them. And I pre-twisted my wires, so basically you just put these on till they're snug. And best way to fold your wire is a fold in and then a fold in again.
Push them to the back of the box.
And push them to the back of the box.
You can see how far back they're in there. There's no way that the drywallers are going to be, you know, bumping or cutting or messing with your wires because you've pushed them way back in the box. All right. Now we're not going to put the actual outlets on the boxes until the drywall's done and it's sanded out. Okay. We're just going to keep them wires back in the box. Now we did the switch over there because it's in an existing drywall wall, and we wanted to just go ahead and turn the lights back on.
Yep, on a remodeler box, there is stipulations to the code where you cannot staple these wires. And on a remodeler box, that's legal. Once their wires are in, pushed back into the wall, you can't staple them, so you don't staple them.
Right.
These wires right here that are hanging out, like I said, there, when you're hanging drywall, you don't want that wire being out to there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to neaten up these wires, keeping them into the center of the wall, and I'm going to go ahead and staple these up to the center of the stud. You know, once or twice on the way up. Loosely. Stretching my wires, I'm going to keep them right in the center of the stud. Probably put a series of 3 on this. I'll probably go ahead and put one more at the very top there too.
All right, and the reason for these staples going up the 2x4 is to keep your wires from hanging out against your 2x4s accidentally and maybe being pinched by the drywall, and worst case scenario, having a drywall screw or nail go through the wire and short it out in your wall.
That's another reason that you actually put these staples on here loose, you know, if you did have a nail or a screw come in here and then there's flop on these wires, before it'll pierce the wire, it'll move the wire.
Yeah.
I mean, just for safety's sake. But yeah, you want flow to your wire. That's all right. We're going to be repacking this wall with standard fiberglass insulation, being as how we took out their blowed-in insulation.
All right. Now we got 2 more little 3-inch cans that Chris is going to go ahead and work on there. Now you see the one wire hanging down right here beside this first can. That's the wire, we call that the light wire. That's the wire that's coming from that switch you just saw Tom wire. All right, it's going to go into that can, and then he's going to pull another wire out of that can to the second can. All right, and I'm going to show you how Chris is going to wire them in just a second here.
Mr. Policeman, bet I can drive faster than